Welcome to SciSage, where everything is simple. You know that feeling, right? Your eyes just pop open. It's pitch black, and you just know it's the middle of the night. Falling asleep the first time is one thing, but trying to fall back asleep, sometimes that feels absolutely impossible.
So in this explainer, we're going to tackle that exact problem head-on. Here's our game plan. First, we'll get into the biology of why you even wake up. Then we'll cover the big do's and don'ts for when you're just lying there. We're going to reveal the one magic number that's key to falling asleep, walk through a whole toolkit of techniques to get you there, and finally, figure out what to do when sleep just doesn't want to cooperate.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Because look, the first step to fixing this whole thing is understanding why it's happening in the first place. And trust me, the answer is probably not what you think.
Does this sound familiar? It's like clockwork, isn't it? For so many people, it's that very specific, very frustrating window. Well, I'm here to tell you it is not a coincidence, and it's definitely not some kind of personal flaw. That's right. So the first thing I want you to do is just let yourself off the hook. This isn't a sign that you're bad at sleeping. Waking up in the middle of the night is a completely normal, totally predictable part of being human. Literally, everybody does it. The real problem isn't the waking up. It's what we do next that keeps us stuck staring at the ceiling.
And it all comes down to your body's internal thermometer. See, your body follows this really predictable temperature curve every single night. As you're winding down, your core temp actually goes up, and it peaks right around 10:30 p.m. It's the drop after that peak that signals your brain to release melatonin, the sleep hormone. But that temperature can't stay low forever. It has to start climbing back up to get you ready for the morning. And guess when that happens? Yep, right around 2 or 3 a.m. And that little rise in temperature is just enough to pull you into a much lighter stage of sleep where almost anything can wake you up.
So we've established it. Waking up is normal, it's biological, we can't really avoid it. But staying awake? That's where we get into trouble. It usually comes down to a few really common mistakes, these well-intentioned traps that totally sabotage our chances of drifting back off. Okay, here are the two biggest sleep killers. First, and this is a big one, looking at the clock. The second you do that, your brain just starts spinning. Oh great, it's 3 a.m. I have to be up at 6:30. That's only 3.5 hours left. I need to sleep now. And boom, hello anxiety, goodbye sleep. The second trap is getting up just to see if you have to go to the bathroom. Look, unless you are absolutely bursting, just stay put. The simple act of sitting up, standing, and walking around raises your heart rate, which is the exact opposite of what you want.
And this quote, this just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? You cannot will yourself to sleep. The harder you try, the more it runs away. The goal isn't effort, it's surrender. It's about creating the right conditions for sleep to just happen. When you stop chasing it and just focus on relaxing, that's when it finds you.
So, if the goal is relaxation, how do we, measure that? Well, it turns out there is one single, crucial metric that determines whether you are awake or asleep. Everything we've talked about so far is really in service of hitting this one physiological goal.
To basically tip over from being awake to being asleep, your body's systems have to slow way, way down. And the most important one, the one we can actually influence, is your heart rate. It all comes down to your heart rate. And here it is, the magic number, 60. To fall asleep, your heart rate generally needs to drop to 60 beats per minute, or even lower. Now think about it. When you check the clock and get anxious, your heart rate goes up. When you get out of bed to walk to the bathroom, your heart rate goes up. Everything we do from here on out is about getting to this number.
Okay. So our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to get that heart rate down to 60 BPM. But how do we actually do that when we're lying there feeling frustrated? All right, let's open up the toolkit.
The first tool is actually more of a mindset shift. It's a concept called non-sleep deep rest, or NSDR. And this is a total game changer for that middle-of-the-night anxiety. It's the simple idea that even if you're not technically sleeping, just lying still in the dark is incredibly restorative for your body and your brain. You're not just wasting time.
In fact, studies show that an hour of just doing this, just resting, gives you about the same rejuvenation as a 20-minute nap. Knowing that is huge. It helps you relax because you realize you're still getting a real benefit, which ironically makes it way easier to actually fall asleep.
All right, now for the heavy hitter. This is the most powerful, direct tool for actively getting that heart rate down. If you remember nothing else from this, remember this technique. It's called 4-7-8 breathing.
And it's so simple. You just gently breathe in through your nose for a slow count of 4. Then you hold it for a count of 7. And then you breathe out slowly through your mouth for a nice long count of 8. The key here is gently, no forcing it. What this does is it dumps excess carbon dioxide from your system, which basically tells your heart, hey, you can chill out now. And the direct result? Your heart rate drops, often right down below that magic number of 60.
Okay, so you've got the master technique. But let's be real, right? What happens if you do a few rounds of 4-7-8 breathing and you're still just staring at the ceiling? Let's do some troubleshooting. First things first, do not panic. This is normal. The most important thing is to not give up and start breaking all the rules we just learned. Just remember, you're still in that state of non-sleep deep rest. Your body is still getting a benefit. Don't let a little frustration sabotage all your good work. So even if you're getting annoyed, you have to resist the temptation to do any of these things. No getting up, no turning on lights, and definitely no checking your phone. All of those things are just stimulation. They're going to raise your heart rate and wake your brain up even more. Your best bet is always to stay in bed, in the dark, and just keep doing that gentle breathing.
And what about that classic "I'm suddenly so thirsty" feeling? Here's the pro move. Before you even go to bed, just put a glass of room temperature water on your nightstand. That way, if you do get thirsty, you can take a sip without ever getting up, turning on a light, or spiking your heart rate. Simple. So, let's wrap this all up in a neat little package. Here's your cheat sheet. You have 2 missions: lower your anxiety and lower your heart rate. To lower anxiety, just keep reminding yourself, this is just biology, and embrace the rest you're getting from NSDR. Do not look at the clock and do not try to force it. To lower your heart rate, your go-to move is 4-7-8 breathing. And don't get out of bed unless it is an absolute emergency.
Look, this whole thing is about changing your script, moving away from a panicked, frustrated reaction to a calm, practiced response. You now have the knowledge, you have the tools, you can absolutely take control of those middle-of-the-night wake-ups. The only question left is, tonight, what's the first thing you're going to try?